It is officially the hottest day of the year. Britain is sweating as temperatures have soared well into the 30s. But Environment Secretary Ed Miliband has been warned that the heatwave will trigger a net zero meltdown because apparently heat pumps, electric cars and solar panels are at risk of breaking down, exploding and even causing power cuts. Well, let's hear from our reporter Dougie Beattie, who spent today in sunny Margate.
The sunshine in Margate has brought out the tourists. But look behind us, it's also brought their money. Even the ice cream vendors have a huge queue behind them. It's nearly impossible to get an ice cream here. Right up the beach here, you can see behind us, this is something like at a Costa del Sol. There is hardly a space left in that beach to even play football. I mean, this is amazing for a British holiday resort. You can't see the seagulls overhead. They are really starting to dive bomb into the crowds. And those people, well, they're coming up with food every time. You can see how far the tide's gone out. That's about to turn. That will turn in the next hour. So as it comes back in, well, it will quite basically half the size of the beach. Now, earlier on, I spoke with a few of the people that's behind the sunshine.
I think we're doing pretty well. We've got a high-speed train line from St Pancras. We've got a great art gallery, got lovely cafes. I think we could probably do a bit with rubbish cleaning and making it a bit smarter.
I'm struck by the charm. It looks to be in transition, but look at what it has here to offer people. I'm here. I'm going to stay for a few more days, that's for sure.
I think it's really nice. It's good for families because it's got a lot of beaches and it's got some nice restaurants and there's obviously the arcades as well. So, yeah, it's quite nice. Nice beach.
Because I like the beer. It's very cold and nice. Sunshine.
You like the beer?
Yeah, of course I like the beer, yeah, all the time. You like the beer too? I saw your face. You look like me. You drink too much last night, yeah? Me too.
Was one of the first towns to actually introduce bathing, and that's because it's one of the only sandy beaches in this area. The rest are stone or pebble beaches, and so bathing here really suits Margate. It has been fantastic to see how many people have been here, but of course our seaside towns will require more days of this sort of heat to really make the money to keep them going throughout the season.
Do you want to save a boatload of cash this summer, wherever you have a trip planned? The one thing you're going to need is access to the internet and on the go. And you can do that easily with Saily. Hit the link in the description to get 15% of your first eSIM plan ready for your trip so you can browse to your heart's content. Saily gets you a local SIM card you can use when traveling so you don't have to pay those crazy roaming fees just to send a message or check the latest news. Now, they've got plans in over 160 countries, 8 regions, so pretty much everywhere, wherever you're going, they'll be able to make sure you're connected. So how does it work? All you've got to do is this. Hit the link in the description to download the app. It will work on iOS or Android. Buy a plan, you can choose an amount of data and time frame that suits you best, and then just install the eSIM on your phone. When you land at your holiday destination, you can activate your plan instantly. And if that wasn't enough, Saily eSIMs only ever have to be installed once. So when you go on your next trip, you just buy a plan for a new country, turn that eSIM back on, and boom, you're back watching me on GB News. I'll be using a Saily SIM on my next holiday because it's actually faster than some of the hotel Wi-Fis. You can get unlimited data if you want, so you can scroll away to your heart's content. And when you leave the hotel, you don't have to do that annoying thing of Wi-Fi hopping because you've got constant connectivity wherever you go. And they've got 24/7 support as well and a full refund policy if your eSIM isn't compatible. So get sorted for your next trip. Download Saily using the link in the description below. And if you use the code NEWS at checkout, you'll get an exclusive 15% discount on us. So click the link, download Saily, and use the code NEWS at checkout.
Well, hopefully Dougie can go and have his well-earned chilled pint now. Be needing it after all that sun. Well, joining me now is the director of Net Zero Watch, Andrew Montford. Andrew, we're all celebrating this wonderful sunshine. We don't get enough of it in Britain. But there are serious consequences, aren't there, if we continue to rely on renewable energies?
Yeah, well, we've had this report today that there are issues with some of the technologies associated with net zero in hot weather. I don't think I would sort of attach too much importance to this. I mean, compared to the ordinary problems that net zero technologies bring, I mean, this is just, if you like, the icing on the cake or something, you know, or the straw that broke the camel's back, perhaps. You know, I mean, the net zero is, you know, it's central planning writ large, isn't it? I mean, you know, we know from, you know, a century of experience that central planning doesn't work, and centrally planning the energy system clearly isn't working either. We have the most expensive electricity in the Western world, and yeah, if it's going to start going wrong in hot weather, well, yes, you know, that's just going to make things worse. But yeah, let's look at the big problems, I think, is what I would say.
I think people are concerned about potentially temperatures heating up. It does feel as if Britain is hotter than perhaps it was a few decades ago. But do you think we are overestimating the consequences of this? I mean, it's certainly true that far more people die of cold each year, about 10 times actually die of cold each year, than they do of high temperatures. So should we be worrying about this as much as we do?
No, we really shouldn't be worrying about this at all. I mean, what you say about deaths from cold as compared to deaths from high temperatures is absolutely right. The really surprising thing about that is also true in countries that we think of as hot places. So more people die of cold in India and Australia than die of heat in India and Australia, for example. Yeah, temperatures always change, and they change over decades, they change over centuries, entirely naturally. And humans are very, very good at adapting. We adapt incredibly quickly. You know, if we get a run of dry years, farmers will change to slightly different crops. You know, but you know, we don't actually need to panic and wreck our economy. You know, we don't need to trash the way we live simply because it's a degree warmer. I mean, this is utter madness, and we are in the grip, essentially, of a millenarian cult, and you know, they are taking us towards disaster. We've seen the economy has deindustrialized at the most incredible pace. We're left with almost nothing now, and what we are left with looks like it's going to shut down over the next few years. This is not a sensible response to a change of a degree and a little bit over the last 40 years. I mean, that's madness.
Now, Andrew, in theory at least, renewable energy sources should be low cost. I mean, the sun is free, wind is free. Do you think they should be part of our energy mix? And if so, how should we better utilise them so that we have more security and that we do drive costs down?
No, we absolutely should not be using them. The reason is that... Absolutely at all. No, we want no wind and we want no solar. These are absolutely terrible forms of energy. Yes, they have no fuel costs, but the capital costs are enormous, and the cost of dealing with the intermittency is catastrophic. And you know, we're finding this out now. This is why we have such expensive electricity. I mean, there is this myth doing the rounds that it's something to do with gas prices. Gas prices have come down again. You know, they're back to where they were 5 or 6 years ago. You know, until a week ago when the war in Iran took off. But you know, the big changes that we've seen over the last 10 years are down to net zero policies. The big changes in electricity prices, it's all down to dealing with intermittency. And the big one is subsidies to renewables, and that is only going to get worse. We can expect electricity prices to keep going up, but we're doing this bonkers thing where we're trying to get people to use heat pumps and electric cars that run off this form of energy that is getting more and more expensive. And it's not a straight line increase. It's going to start accelerating as well. You know, this is, again, absolutely bonkers. Do we want to have manufacturing industry in this country? Because if we carry on the way we are, there will be none, absolutely none.
Andrew Montford, thank you so much for joining me. And let's throw this to the panel now. I mean, Ben Andrews obviously very sceptical about renewables, but should there be some place for it? At least if it's in this country, we own the sun. You know, we own the sun that falls here, we own the wind that falls here. We don't have to rely on imports if we use renewable energy.
Well, I think to the extent that we've already built some renewable energy infrastructure, we might as well leave it in place. I can't see any case to be made to remove that which already exists. But, you know, I haven't studied the entire Western approach to net zero, but we've taken a particularly bad route. And the reason I say that is that in advance of having the technologies, assuming the technologies are capable of being produced, in advance of having the technologies that can take the place of fossil fuel, we shut off fossil fuel. And so we've ideologically decided that's where we're going. And we've turned off North Sea gas, we've turned off North Sea oil, and there's a lot of it, by the way. We've stopped mining coal, and actually coal is critical for steel production. We want to rattle our sabre with Iran and with Russia, but we don't have the steel-making capability required to actually arm ourselves. So we've geopolitically weakened ourselves. From an energy perspective, we've weakened ourselves. We've damaged the economy terribly on the altar of net zero. And the other thing I'll just quickly mention is that the regulatory and legal framework associated with it is also deeply damaging. I'm in property, and by 2030, all commercial buildings in the United Kingdom need to be Energy Performance Certificate B rated. 80% of commercial property in this country does not comply with that trajectory. So we're going to have real pain in our commercial property market between now and 2030. And that will manifest itself in the real economy, because the real economy exists through property. You need offices, you need retail space, you need leisure, and so on. And so we're doing deep, deep damage to the economy of the United Kingdom on the altar of this ideology.
Benjamin, what do you think? Should we ditch renewables?
Well, I'm certainly not going to lose sleep over landlords having
It's
to
not landlords, it's you that are going to suffer.
Well, I don't think that's true, because rents have gone up at a rate that bears no relation to the rest of the market and the economy.
But that's why you're suffering. That's why you will suffer, because
it's not. We're suffering when, people that rent properties have to pay sky-high bills because all the heat is let out of the old buildings that haven't been looked after. And at some point, we have to tackle the fact that we have a very old housing stock in this country, and it's very inefficient, far more so than our European neighbours, and we have to deal with that. And I think putting a deadline on it is a pretty good way to get people to deal with it.
Well, it's a good way to get people to sell off their properties because they can no longer afford to rent them out and sell them to big international companies.
Build millions more, and then it won't be so profitable for me.
Let's get back to the topic. Are renewables an important part of our energy mix, or are they too unreliable?
Absolutely. I mean, the sort of one salient point that was made is that we have become dangerously reliant on global events and on countries that don't have our own interests at heart, and that's one of the reasons, the central reason, why costs have rocketed. It's not the so-called green taxes, which were a very small part of the increase we've seen in the last couple of years. And therefore it follows that the most rational thing that we can do as a country that needs to be self-reliant is to have solar, is to have wind power, because we generate that at home. Now, at the moment we have a problem that it's still tied to global market rates, and so it kind of undermines the efficiency of that. But these are the ways to fix the problem, that we generate our own energy rather than being reliant on Russia or Saudi Arabia or China or anywhere else that wants to exploit us.
Now,